How do we find comic relief in troubled times? This is Mark and Pete Live. I'm Pete the clergyman. With me, as ever, is Mark the businessman. So, what is our topic for this week, Mark?
Well, it's all about humour, comic
Mhm.
relief. And how do we actually find the art of laughter in times of trouble? But the thing here is that we do need to really congratulate those who have been successful under comic relief. That's the initiative that has absolutely raised immense amount of money for good causes around the UK and, in fact, throughout the world. And what's staggering in recent times is they've raised over £42 million for such causes. Now, it is really important to note that the founder and co founder, Richard Curtis, thanked the extraordinary public for their outpouring of generosity. He said that the charity helped 11 million people last year. Now, celebrities and many well known people actually helped in the cause of comic relief, which usually comes in the form of activities all around the world. Now, when you think about this, it was noted primarily for its Red Nose Day, but this isn't just about one particular moment. How do you actually find humour when you actually need to overcome issues? Now, here is a very serious thought. If you pick your nose and have a suck, you'll achieve comic relief. If you pick someone else's and get stuck, you'll cause a lot of grief. A very important announcement. Clergyman Pete, I ask you, how do you find
Yes.
amusing as I remove my finger from your nose? How is it, and you have a very red nose, in fact, as a result, how do you find humour in times of trouble?
Well, I think that it's inevitable that people will have a sort of humor that is known as gallows humor,
Mm,
laughing on the way to the gallows, laughing at really difficult times, sometimes laughing at the people heading for the gallows. In these sort of situations, I don't know if you're um, a soldier out on patrol somewhere, if you're a surgeon getting ready for a difficult surgery, always there's within those sort of cadres of people
yes, they
a
are a
type
cut
of
above the
humor.
rest, I believe.
Yes, thank you. A type of humor that can seem very insensitive
Ah,
if you're outside the situation, but is needed for them to cope with such difficult situations.
ah.
When you're in
So
something,
we're saying that humour helps to cope with an adverse situation. Yes.
I think this is just undeniable. When you're in a situation where you can't logically, rationally, it's just a terrible situation. The way psychologically to cope is to laugh at it. Either you laugh or you cry,
Mm.
and choosing laughter is an important thing. Oh, there's some. Here's some a little bit of advice to help yourself to laugh on the way to the apocalypse, um, which some people say is coming now with wars and rumors of wars, as it says in the Bible. Um, the uh, the way to the way to have have a time have a humorous story or joke at your fingertips is to choose your pain, to choose the pain that you're going to laugh at. In
Yes.
other words, so this is the first of 3 points I'm going to make. One, choose the thing you're going to laugh at. So in the situation, say of the COVID pandemic that we just had, you're not going to be laughing at the fact that people are dying of a disease or of a vaccine or whatever it is, but you're going to laugh at something related to it. So you
Mm.
make sure that you pick the right bit of humor. And I'll give a couple of examples in a minute. Um, One thing is to try and make yourself the target. That can't always be done, but
Yes.
focus on the target, or maybe uh, your reaction to what's happening, or be very specific who you're not only what you're laughing at, but who you're laughing at. And the third thing to do is to go for the laugh, exaggerate something about it, and then just laugh at it, play it
Yes.
up,
Yes.
and
And just folks, I always use Clergyman Pete as the butt of my
as a
jokes.
figure of fun. Now, I'm just going to give you a couple of examples. These are things that were reported during the lockdown, Gloria Gaynor posted a video of herself
Yes.
washing her hands, because we were encouraged to wash our hands to stop the spread of the disease, to the tune of a hit, "I Will Survive." Now, you could argue that she didn't realize quite how ridiculous it was, but she's obviously laughing at herself in that situation and helping other people to laugh at the situation, not laughing at people dying, laughing at that this simple process of washing your hands is meant to help us survive. So that was that. It was one example. Another example, a simpler one, someone on Twitter. What in Britain, people will remember this situation. Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of
Always
Britain,
good for a laugh.
it's always good for, indeed. He had regular press conferences with the chief medical officer on one side and the chief scientific officer on the other side. And on Twitter, someone described them as the two gentlemen of Corona. Now, that's just that is laughing at someone else. So it's not pointing at themselves. But as I said before, it's pointing at your reaction of it. What's funny is the play on words, coronavirus, instead of Verona. But it highlights the third of my points, highlights the ridiculousness, going for the laugh,
Yes.
pointing out what seems silly in the situation. So I think if you follow that simple plan, it is possible to laugh, poke fun at the situation, to enable you to cope in really troubling times without being offensive.
I also have to point out that from a business perspective, laughter is actually a good money earner. Many people actually do gain a lot of money in his big business from sending cards that are amusing or items that are amusing, whether it's from a joke shop or whatever. But the one thing that a lot of actual scientists and medical experts say, making somebody laugh is actually very therapeutic. It is actually something which physically helps people, not just in their well-being, but to be able to sort of have better enjoyment. And it is trying to find that balance, isn't it? Because let's be honest, Clergyman Pete, we seem to be constantly awash across the media landscape with bad news. So maybe what we really need is to inject some more humor and maybe ask the public, what would they like to see when it comes to sticking the nose up at adversity?
Yes. Who do you want to laugh at? What makes you laugh? What's in that sort of dark humor? What gets you through these difficult times? We'd love to hear from you. Just going to quote from a psalm here. This is Psalm chapter 2, beginning at the start of it. In the Bible, why do the nations rage and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth set themselves and their rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed. And it goes on, he who sits in the heavens laughs. The Lord holds them in derision. And I suppose we could say that looking at countries like in the situation between Russia and Ukraine, where countries set themselves up above other countries and they think they've got these great plans, maybe even that they're going to take over the world, and God has other plans and laughs at them. And I think that's the sort of situation. If we take a different perspective, sit back and laugh, we can get ourselves through even the most difficult times. But that's it for this week from Mark and Pete here on the Mark and Pete live show. Do remember to subscribe and put a comment below. Come on, give us a laugh.